Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Lovely to have you along for the ride. We got so much to get into today, and before we get into anything, because there's going to be some stuff that's not great. I don't know if you were trapped under something heavy yesterday, if you couldn't participate in society. There's another bad report about Nick Sirianni's lack of responsibilities, need to depend on others in that Eagles locker room in the NovaCare complex on the sidelines of the Philadelphia Eagles. From our friend Derek Gunn, we'll get to that. There's another bogus report that I don't even want to talk about, but I just when you report without reporting, it leads to a lot of speculation. So I don't like touching on anything that's just crap thrown against the wall. So let's put it like that. But now I have to talk about it, so we'll talk about it later today, and that has to do with speculation about what's going on in the Eagles locker room. I am not going to speculate. I am only going to talk about the report and say how it's not a report and how people just absolutely love bull. You know what? So we'll talk about that today. We'll get into Kyle Lowry's media session yesterday at the Sixers practice facility, what his job is. He said everything right. Whit Merrifield and Kyle Lowry had two great media sessions as they're introduced to the Philadelphia media. Kyle Lowry really doesn't need to be introduced to the Philadelphia media, but, as he's introduced as a member of the 76ers, he does. And I loved everything he had to say. But I want to start it off with something extremely positive. And I'm so glad that I saw this yesterday, what I'm about to show you. But then I saw a description of it a couple minutes ago. I wanted to make sure I got that in as well. But for the people on the podcast, this is Charlie Manuel walking down the warning track at spring training today. This is a beautiful sight. Check this.
Run.
I've been eagerly anticipating a soundbite of any kind with Charlie Manuel because, according to a lot of people I've talked to, this speech was coming along. So I was a little worried. I wanted to hear Charlie. I just heard Charlie, and he was his typical, when you get him one-on-one, his witty self. And the backstory here is Spencer McKeever, a great producer, editor for NBC Sports Philadelphia, great dude, got this footage by going to spring training, as he does, and he goes up to Charlie and says, "Hey, Charlie, do you mind if I follow you around?" And Charlie's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then he says, "Do you want me to run?" And said it beautifully, said it perfectly, looks good, walking well. And after the stroke, I'm just so happy for Charlie Manuel, his wife Missy, the Philadelphia Phillies organization, Phillies fans. It's just great to see Charlie being able to take that stroll at spring training. And I'm sure that as things were really tough for Charlie and he was making his way back from the stroke, I'm sure the huge uplifting thought was just get me to spring training, basically. And then I'll take it from there. I'll have all the motivation. I'll be outside. I'll be able to walk around. I'll be able to chop it up with the boys, be able to talk hitting again. And then you get to see Charlie right there walking around the warning track at Philly spring training. Beautiful sight. In the words of Scott Van Pelt, it's the best thing I saw yesterday. Similarly, just in terms of baseball and the Philadelphia Phillies, Greg Murphy was our guest on yesterday's show. Always great catching up with Murph. And as I've been talking about throughout this week, we've been filming. We just wrapped up our fourth season of Greatest Sports Legends Then and Now. And I got to talking to Murph. And, of course, yesterday we also talked about Scott Lauber and his story about John Middleton. So 2 days ago, we had Murph on. And I said to Greg, I said, this was yesterday at the shoot. I said, of course, I record the interview with you. And then the next morning, Scott Lauber comes out with that story about John Middleton and how intense. And Murph is just like, and I can say this isn't anything that's controversial. It's just funny. Murph said, yeah, I read the story. It's all true. In terms of John Middleton, he is the genuine article. And Murph told me a story about John Middleton being at fantasy camp, and he shows up for these guys that are mostly well-to-do people, and they can afford fantasy camp, and John Middleton does a Q&A with these fantasy campers in Clearwater, and he goes answering questions, and he's answering everything honestly, and he's really giving a lot of information. And Murph is like, damn, he is really being honest about everything. Like, he's pulling no punches. What you see is what you get. and he's not covered for anybody, including himself. He's very honest and open. So apparently one of the people is like a Fortune 500 company PR executive. And he just gets up and he just says, I just want to say that if the Phillies ever came to me and wanted to be a client of mine, I would turn it down because, John, you are way too honest with this group of people. And John's like, yep, that's just what I am. You know what I mean? And I just thought if he's like that in the open, usually when guys like I've seen Howie Roseman, Don Smolinski, not of the same ilk, of course, but I've seen guys like that in those kinds of settings. I've been in the audience for things like that, not a fantasy camper, but in the same audience, and seen those guys get guarded. John Middleton, apparently no, it's all in the open, like an open book, baby. So he is the genuine article. So all the stuff that we were pointing out yesterday about John Middleton, it rings true no matter where he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a friend. He's been on the show a number of times. His name is Derek Gunn. Derek Gunn, yesterday, continued a really rough offseason for Nick Sirianni. Okay, a really rough offseason for Nick Sirianni. We all know what has happened. We know how the Eagles season ended. That's not good. That's pretty bad. We know from Hassan Reddick that it was a higher-ups decision to move on from Sean Desai as the defensive play caller. We know from Nick Sirianni that the offensive coordinator is going to be in charge of the offense, unlike Nick Sirianni was throughout this season, and last season, even as someone who is not a play caller. He was doing the game plan, but now the offensive coordinator is going to be in charge. That's Kellen Moore of the offense. Little different there, but it's different. We know that he, as a head coach of the NFL, you should never get the question, so what's your role with the team going to be? If Vic Fangio, for instance, is going to be in charge of the defense and Kellen Moore is in charge of the offense, what is it you say you do here, Nick? And we took that and ran with it, just like everybody took it and ran with it. That should never be a coach. That should never be a question that's needed to be asked. And it was needed. I wanted to know. Hold on. When I heard Nick Sirianni say the offense was going to be in charge, the offensive coordinator going to be in charge of the offense, like, hold on. I thought you were in charge of the offense. The offensive coordinator just calls the plays. This is interesting. This is a change. So when Tim McManus asked a question, I went, that's a legit question. It's weird as hell that question needs to be asked, but it's a legit question. So Nick says he's going to be the he's going to be the head coach of the football team. Okay. All right, great. So he is, yes, got to be the rah-rah guy. He's got to make sure these guys stay focused. He's got to be able to squash arguments and feuds that might pop up throughout the season, just like any workplace. And it turns out, Derek Gunn, pay attention to the second part of this. The first one we kind of already knew from Joe Santoliquito. The second thing is the thing that is eye-popping and has been picked up nationwide, including the New York Post picking up this story. I saw that when I woke up this morning. But Derek Gunn drops this hammer on social media yesterday. Here you go. According to sources, per Derek Gunn here, Jalen's big contract, well, it pulled him in numerous directions on and off the field, put him under a lot of pressure. He didn't handle it well. Okay, that kind of just distills the point even further that Joe Santoliquito was making a couple of weeks ago in his article. Fine, I get it. All right. But then this is bonkers, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a Big Dom fan as much as the next person. I like Big Dom a lot. I like what he means to the team. But babysitter? Big Dom, suspension. Well, he controls Nick Sirianni's emotions on the sideline. In his absence, Nick gets into numerous arguments with players and coaches during games. What? Huh? What? I saw, I don't want to out him, but I saw someone who used to work behind the scenes. I'll just say this for the Eagles. Say that he doesn't work with Dom DeSantis is not a security guard. He keeps saying he's a security guard. He's not a security guard. Okay. So he's a guidance counselor that accompanies the head coach everywhere. He's a guidance counselor that helps accompany players everywhere. He's a guidance counselor that's got to be there next to Nick Sirianni on the sidelines. What is he? Nick Sirianni's emotional strength coach? Yeah, settle down, Nick. Settle down. Now, here's the thing. It's very important here because I've seen people take this out of context, okay? Help control Nick Sirianni's emotions on the sidelines. Nick Sirianni, I know a lot of people are going to jump to him in Kansas City. See ya! And Dom DeSandro walking right with him as he's leaving the field. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about on the sidelines with players. That means so much more than just Nick Sirianni walking through a tunnel talking jive. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you needed somebody else. Nick Sirianni is supposed to be this emotionally intelligent, to use Jeffrey Lowry's words, head coach, yet he needs Dom DeSandro next to him and be like, settle down. Nick, settle down. This story is fascinating. And this offseason for Nick Sirianni just continues to beg the question, if you're not emotionally intelligent, if you can't get this team to focus, if you can't draw up a great game plan for them to execute well, what is it you say you do here? Not going to be emotionally intelligent, can't communicate well with your players, need Dom DeSandro to babysit you on the sidelines to make sure you don't have a toddler tantrum. What is it you say you do here? You can't get this team off the schneid at the end of the season. What is it you say you do? You need a former head coach to come in and take over your defense, and you need a 6-year, 5-year offensive coordinator in the NFL to come in and run your offense, to which you'll be controlling. What is it you say you do? This is why throughout this entire process, since the end of the season, and I know on Jacob we used a clip of me talking about how Nick Sirianni doesn't call plays. That's one thing. If you think just because he doesn't call plays means he does nothing, no. There is so much more mounting evidence to add to the question of what do you do again? What is it you do again? And the reason is this. You're talking about a guy who doesn't call plays. Okay, that's fine. It's a very tangible thing. He doesn't call plays, so that's something to latch onto. He's an offensive-minded head coach. Doesn't call plays. Interesting. Not everybody in the NFL calls plays. We've talked about John Harbaugh a number of times. We talked about Dan Campbell this year. Number of coaches. That's the least of my concerns. But he's supposed to do those other things. He's supposed to help a team focus on his team. Have his team focused on the task at hand. And that's what he was doing. You're talking about two back-to-back seasons here, back-to-back seasons of 10-1 starts. It seems like he can get his team pretty focused. And then all of a sudden, adversity. Somehow, magically, you get pantsed. You almost were pantsed by the Washington Commanders twice this season, but then you got absolutely pantsed by the San Francisco 49ers. Pretty damn good football team, and they embarrassed you. Dom DeSandro then leaves the sidelines, and all hell breaks loose for the rest of the season for your Philadelphia Eagles. So if he's not calling plays, and he can't control his emotions, and he can't find a way to stop the bleeding at the end of the season, and the game plans, by the way, that he's putting together aren't working, what is it you say you do here? This is, I can't remember. And I was trying to think of examples. I can't remember an offseason for a head coach that wasn't fired that's more rough than this one. Like usually, if I'm talking to you about all these things that have transpired, including from the end of the year, from the 49ers game till now, if I am just rattling off the characteristics or the details of what's happened to this Eagles team since, including, by the way, the words of Hassan Reddick in his locker this year. If I'm just rattling off those details, you're like, oh, that coach got fired, right? Oh, no, he stayed. His coordinators are different. His coordinators from last year are gone. But the coach is still here. How is that possible? And I don't know. It's the Eagles. All they need is Jeffrey Lowry and Howie Roseman, and they good, man. They good. I saw my man Dan Cilio. I'll be on with Dan maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But I saw Dan put out the quote about now Nick Sirianni is not qualified to be an NFL head coach. I agree with him. 31 teams, But there's a 32nd team named the Philadelphia Eagles that find him more than qualified to be their head coach. And why is that? He stays in his lane. And that lane is subservient to Howie Roseman and especially Jeffrey Lowry. And I know a lot of people want to look at Howie Roseman like he is a puppeteer. As time goes on, I find Howie to be less of the marionette player, the puppeteer, if you will, while Jeffrey Lowry becomes more and more of the puppeteer. That, to me, is what has changed over the last couple of years. And I believe, as many others believe as well, that Nick Sirianni and Jeffrey Lowry had that very similar conversation that Jeffrey Lowry and Doug Peterson had about this is what we want to do. What do you think? Jeffrey Lowry looks at Doug Peterson and says, Press Taylor, get the hell out of here. We're not keeping Press Taylor. Press Taylor's not going to be your offensive coordinator. Doug's like, all right, screw you. I got a Super Bowl on my resume. I'm a former player in this league. Yeah, all right, thanks. Thanks for the times, old chum. And then he takes a year, goes to Jacksonville. He's got his own little party down there. Meanwhile, Nick Sirianni has the same conversation. And Nick Sirianni probably said, what do you want to do? And Jeff's like, this, that, and the other. And Nick's, all right. Am I still the head coach? You're still the head coach. Cool. I think the next move is Nick Sirianni actually gets named manager of the Philadelphia Eagles and somebody else becomes the head coach. And Nick will be like, that sounds great. That sounds great. Thanks. That's where it seems like we're headed, folks. That's where it seems like we're headed. This offseason sucks. This offseason absolutely sucks. Like I need Howie Roseman in Howie's season to do something big to make me feel a lot better about the future of this Philadelphia Eagles team, because right now the future of this Philadelphia Eagles team, I have this feeling in my stomach that this is not going to go well. Because here's the deal. And this is the vicious cycle I was talking about a couple weeks ago. So let's say that Nick Sirianni assumes his role again as head coach of this football team next year. And Kellen Moore's running the offense, and Vic Fangio's running the defense, and both sides of the football are doing well, and you get out to another really good start, and you push into the playoffs, and maybe you get to the NFC Championship game. Jalen Hurts has a resurgence, all that jazz, right? Let's say all that happens. You're not running it back with Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore, if he has success with this Eagles team next year, which I think he will, he's gone. He's getting a head coaching job somewhere else. And then you're back to looking for somebody else that'll play ball with how the Eagles want ball to be played. And I'm not talking about football. I'm talking about office politics. And that's what's so horrifying about this, the vicious cycle. Okay, great. So you're going to have success with maybe an offensive coordinator like Shane Steichen, like you had with Shane Steichen. Old Shane Steichen's gone. He's now a head coach. So Kellen Moore's going to come in. You're going to have success again in this offense. And then, here we go again. Let's bring in another offensive coordinator. It's a horrifying thought, but that's where we are right now with the Eagles. And just think about this for a second. And look, I love emotion. I'm an emotional person. I love it. But you're an NFL head coach, you do have to have some of those managerial, emotional intelligence skills. And for Dom DeSandro to have to be the guy to be like, Nick, let's chill, bro. Let's calm down. A pause. No, you shouldn't need that. And according to our friend Derek Gunn, that is what he needs. As far as the Jalen Hurts stuff and the big contract, I got a lot of confidence that Jalen Hurts is going to bounce back. I don't know why I feel alone in that. Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback. This year sucked. This year absolutely sucked. Simple as that. Before the game against the 49ers, he was the odds-on favorite to be the MVP. And then everything crashed and burned. And it wasn't long that he was the odds-on favorite to be the MVP. It was like literally that week. And then it was over. The turnovers, of course, continued. The horrendous situational football continued. But I got confidence that it's going to be a bounce back year. And I do think there are a lot of distractions that, unfortunately, Jalen Hurts let get to him. And I kind of feel bad about that because I was one of the people that actually handed him a trophy in the offseason. So I take full responsibility, folks. Okay, I take full responsibility. That's a horrible thing. Now, let's get to the report that was out there by, I'll say, Fox Sports. And here's what I was afraid of when I saw it. To say something happened in the Eagles locker room that was so bad it would, quote, tear apart any group of men, and then not say what that thing is. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because people have started to talk about it, and it's actually picked up steam. That vague of a report, quote unquote, has picked up so much steam. Now, why would it pick up steam? Well, I'll tell you why it pick up steam. Because it's very simple. It allows you to give your interpretation. It's to the nth degree what the A.J. Brown icing out the media 2.5 week run did. Oh, he's not talking? Why isn't he talking? Speculation parade. So now we're in that same boat of, there's something that happened? Since then, Adam Schefter has shot it down. There's something that's happened? Oh, something egregious that could tear any group of men apart? What? I'm not taking any guesses. I am not going to speculate because I don't want to put anything out there in the ether that people might hear in passing and they go, oh, well, I heard it was this because that. No. You heard speculation. People love to speculate. And look, I'm not saying I'm absolved from speculation. Part of what I have to do is speculate. But that's my best guess, taking all the evidence in, and I give you my opinion. My opinion, yes, sometimes is speculation. That's my opinion. Kind of what this whole format is based on. But to say something happened that's so egregious that could tear men apart, geez, good God, man. That just lets the imagination run wild. I'd rather a report come out like the one did from our friend Joe Santoliquito, who put it out there and said, yeah, but according to these sources, this is what happened. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It's not the Carson Wentz situation. All this is fixable. This is just out there. It's what the guys on the team are saying. Okay, we can live with that. That's fine. That's fixable. I think Jalen is a good enough dude and a humble enough dude to figure that out and correct it. But the minute you start going down the path of, I can't even say it, then what are you saying? I can't even say it, but it's bad. Okay. I know something you don't. What is it? What's the point of this? And then I see yesterday people taking, what do you think happened? I don't want to put it into the ether. I don't want to, because then here's what sucks. Anytime you say something or make a prediction, people automatically assume that's what you're rooting for. So no, this is what you said is going to happen. So now you want to be right. So it's almost like you're rooting for that. No. So I talked to you guys many times throughout every single season about clickbait BS and how as a society, I just think we have never been more drawn to that little tap of entertainment. Scroll. Oh, what? Tap, read. You give them your click. You bought into the clickbait, and here we are. We are watching the accident on the other side of the road. That's what it is. And I've used this analogy before, but if you're of my generation and you got home from school and put on Jerry Springer, or maybe you were home one day and you were sick and you watched Jerry Springer. I heard this one sociologist talk about it, how it's the same mentality watching that show as people stopping, rubberneckers in traffic, looking at the traffic on the other side of the highway. Oh, slow down. Look at that. A fender bender. I'm glad I looked. That's the society we are now when it comes to clickbait. We all want to see the accident. Now, for the record, I am not a rubbernecker. I am the person laying on my horn for the rubberneckers to just ignore what they're seeing on the other side of the road that has nothing to do with them, unless they're going to pull over and get out of the car and help. Then pull over, get out of the car and help. But if you're not, and you just want to stare at something and slow down everybody else, listen to me, the guy honking his horn, that it's none of your concern. Keep moving. But that's the society we've evolved into with all the clickbait and all the information and all the stories that are right there for our own access. It's an unfortunate thing. As I told you guys before, I don't like awarding. This is why I didn't want to talk about the Chris Sims stuff right away. I don't like rewarding stupidity with attention, but that's what we do now. You see this? It's so stupid. No way. Click. Oh, boy, I got to send this to my other friend. Click. I got to send this to my other friend. Click. You believe this idiot? It's not a conspiracy theory or anything stupid like that. It's just how we are now. It's not that much of a change. Headlines on newspapers in the 1800s had the sexy headlines just so you'd pick them up. That hasn't changed. I'm just saying it's never been more readily available than it is right now. Anyway, let me talk about something nice. Let me talk about something fun. Can I talk about something fun? Well, first off, the Flyers won yesterday. They beat the Blackhawks. That's fun. 27 goals now for Travis Konechny. TK continuing to snap the biscuit. Slap the biscuit. Sixers return from the All-Star break tonight. Kyle Lowry, ladies and gentlemen, was addressing the media yesterday. And Kyle Lowry hit every note, every beautiful note. Here he is, courtesy of NBC Sports Philadelphia yesterday, addressing the media.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I understand my role and my job. My job is to make sure that Tyrese gets better. This team gets to the point where they haven't been in a while, and that's my job. My job is to do everything I need to do to make this team and this organization better. No matter what the role is, what the minutes are, what the situation is, my job is to be a professional and help Tyrese get better, help this team get better, help coach get better, help everybody get better.
Did I hear get Tyrese Maxey better? More of that. Look, and some people thought this was overblown, but I loved it. When James Harden first got here and wasn't playing, he was looking at Tyrese Maxey. I'll never forget the game they had against the Bucks where Tyrese Maxey is dribbling in the lane, going hard to the basket, a little bit more than normal. It's something that he could certainly do and something that he did do, but he didn't do it with as much regularity. And second or third time he did it in the game, Tyrese Maxey goes hard to the rim. The Bucks call a timeout. I think it was an N1 situation. James Harden shoots up off the bench and just starts yelling at Tyrese Maxey, "Thank you. Thank you." Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want you to do. Keep doing that. You can do that every play. Let's go. That kind of thing. You love that type of encouragement from a veteran. Now, James Harden, an MVP, a little different than Kyle Lowry. But Kyle Lowry is, I think, more easily going to settle into the role of mentor than a guy like James Harden. I know everybody loves everybody. Everybody gets along great. And Maxey loves Harden. Harden loves Maxey. And all that stuff is fine. That's great. But Kyle Lowry coming here after basically a buyout here with the Hornets, coming here at the end of his career, 37 years old, be 38 by the time the playoffs start. Good Lord. The Cardinal Dougherty graduate, Villanova standout, is going to be the big brother, if you will, to Tyrese Maxey. And I love that because I know Tyrese Maxey is extremely coachable. And for a guy like Kyle Lowry to come in here and understand his role, it gave me Whit Merrifield vibes of listening to Whit Merrifield earlier in this week, where he talked about, I've done a lot of good things in my career. Kyle Lowry, for instance, he's won a championship. He's made an all-star team 6 times. Whit Merrifield's been a 3-time all-star. He's led the league in hitting. The only difference in Whit Merrifield is that he's never won. He's here in Philly to win. Kyle Lowry has won. Now he wants to help show this basketball team, this 76ers team, how to win. And listening to him talk yesterday gave me so much more hope for what he could bring to this 76ers table when it comes to Tyrese Maxey, comes to just giving some good minutes off the bench. I said it at the time that they acquired him, at the All-Star break, or before the All-Star break. 17 minutes? Can you give me 17? 15, 20 max? Can you give me those minutes, Kyle Lowry? That's all I'm asking for. I don't need 28 minutes. I certainly don't need 36 minutes that he was averaging under Nick Nurse in his last couple of years in Toronto. I don't need that. 20 tops on a bad night. That's all I need. I think it's a very good acquisition. I think it's a solid acquisition by the Sixers, and not just for the sole purpose of, isn't it great that he went to Cardinal Dougherty, and now he's here in Philly, and he's in Villanova, and now he's back in Philly, and now that's great. It's a nice little storyline. It's adorable. I'm a Catholic League guy. I can root for other Catholic League guys, So that's that. There's that. But I actually physically like what he's going to be bringing to the table here in Philadelphia. both on and off the court. So that's a beautiful thing. By the way, I don't know when we're going to get it, but I assume it's going to be fairly soon. The report on Joel Embiid. How we doing? Sixers, before the deadline expired, well, we know that they got Buddy Hield, which is nice. Very nice. We know they got Cameron Payne, which is nice. And they also went out there on the buyout market and they got themselves Kyle Lowry. You're going to get Robert Covington back. The report yesterday was 2.5, 3 weeks. Okay. Nick Batum, hopefully back in the not-too-distant future. What about Joel Embiid? Tobias Harris. What about Joel Embiid? When's Joel Embiid going to be suiting up again? My feeling right at the deadline after they made the acquisitions, and the story came out of Kyle Lowry, I found it very interesting that Adrian Wojnarowski was like, so we're doing a buyout over here to allow room to get Kyle Lowry. Oh. No, he said, so the Sixers could add someone like Kyle Lowry. I'm like Kyle Lowry or Kyle Lowry? But anyway, it all is going to hinge on what's going to happen with Joel Embiid. I would love to see him come back. I would love to see him get a week or two to rev himself up to get ready to play in the postseason. I'd love for all that to happen. I do think as of right now that is going to happen. I don't think the Sixers are making the win now type of moves, bringing in talent like they did at the deadline. Not game changers by any means, but good, solid players. Buddy Hield, good, solid player. Campaign, good, solid player in his role. That to me shows, we could win now. Kyle Lowry coming in now. Great. That doesn't just check a box for Kyle Lowry to play in Philly finally. It checks a box for Philadelphia because you no longer have PJ Tucker. You moved on from Patrick Beverly. You obviously moved on from Marcus Morris as well. Who's going to be that dog? Well, Kyle Lowry could be that dog. Kyle Lowry was going to fight Ben Simmons at the Wells Fargo Center. A little bit of a height differential there. Yeah, they were going to throw. So that's where we're at right now. And I think with the moves that they made, it hints that Joel Embiid, that whatever news they got after the surgery, that it was positive, and that Joel Embiid will be back this year. I'm going to have to see him play to make any determination or raise my spirits or level of optimism that the Sixers could potentially make it out of the second round. The only way I see them doing that is if the Celtics that they somehow avoid the Celtics in the playoffs until the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the Celtics can break our hearts there. And that'll be great. At least it'll give us a little morsel to look forward to for next season. Well, they're going to second round of the playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals. Cross my fingers for that. Cross my fingers for that. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you right now about the wonderful people at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. You want to get in on all the action? You want to bet on the games? You can do it at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer when it comes to betting on the world of hockey, when it comes to betting on the world of spring training, when it comes to betting on the world of the NFL or the NBA. MyBookie is where it's at. Also, if maybe betting on sports ain't your thing, you haven't had success in betting on the world of sports, you can bet on TV shows. Who's who end up with. You can also bet on the world of politics. If that's your thing, you can do it at MyBookie. And how about this? You download the app, use promo code Farzy when you create an account, and you can get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. How about people at the Game Time app, ladies and gentlemen? You want to go to the big game? You want to go to the big concert? Want to go to the big event? I saw Andrea Bocelli was at the Wells Fargo Center last night. You can download the Game Time app to your phone. You can get tickets for the game. You can get tickets for the concert. You can get tickets for the comedy show, whatever it might be. Get it at the Game Time app. Create an account, use promo code Farzy, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase at the Game Time app. Also, take advantage of their flash ticket deals, last-minute ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So maybe you missed the opening act or the middle act. You can still be there for the headliner with great savings. Right there at the Game Time app. Also, don't forget about the Game Time guarantee, which is if you find tickets in the same section or row for less money on another app, the Game Time app will get you back 110% of the difference, ladies and gentlemen. How about that? That's the Game Time guarantee. So once again, download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy. You'll get $20 off your first purchase at the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. And our wonderful friends at Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you want people to do it on Thursday morning. If you're like me, trash day, not today. Thanks, President's Day. That's all pushed back. By the way, we get President's Day after the NBA All-Star game. It got me thinking. You know how we always say we should move President's Day to the day after the Super Bowl? First off, America should just make the day off, should make it a national holiday after the Super Bowl. It's a national holiday. Everyone's together. Call it something else. Make up some other American day. I don't know. And the day of the Super Bowl. Pastime day. Where we celebrate our sports. You know? Something like that. But then I got to thinking, why doesn't the NFL just push back the Super Bowl? Starting towards the end of September instead of the middle of September. Maybe that'll help things a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Just got me. Got me thinking is all. Scoozy. Sean Kilrain, what's poppin'? Nice to see you. Eagles locker room is like romance drama TV show. Eric Wazowski. Yeah, kind of feels like that right now. Great to see him up and about, wishing Charlie nothing but the best this year, says Sean Kilrain. Absolutely. I see Lowry unlocking Mad Max true potential. Good to see him home. He knows his role. He does know his role. In all honesty, Sean, to hear Whit Merrifield's conversation with the media and then to hear Kyle Lowry, I'm hearing the same thing. Veteran who has done stuff in the league. Difference, obviously, Lowry's one. Multi-time All-Star. But here's the difference. I think on the surface of play, so for Merrifield on the field and Lowry on the court, I think Merrifield's going to physically help this team win more. I think Lowry's going to mentally help the Sixers more. Merrifield will have the tangible numbers to say, oh, wow, look, still a good baseball player, still helping the team win by actually getting hits and stuff. Lowry will be more the mental aspect of the game, the dog, if you will. Wine Niners Wine. Good morning, Farzy and friends. Good morning, Wine Niners Wine. Chip Tooth Eagle. Nice shirt. Dak does stink. D-Gun's the man. I can confirm, per sources, me, Derek Gunn is in fact the man. Kellen should run the offense. We have seen what happens with Nick's offense. Well, that's going to happen, Chip Tooth. That's going to happen. Farzy, let's say we have an okay season, win 10, 11 games again, and get bounced in the divisional round. Does Nick get another year? It's going to matter on the optics. If he wins a playoff game, then no, he's not going to get bounced. Look, here's the thing, folks. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, like Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni plays ball. Nick, you want to be the head coach of this team? All right, fine, but we're going to have this guy run the offense. We're going to have that guy run the defense. You just do whatever it is the hell you do. And we'll tell Dom not to get suspended again. That's kind of how that goes. Sean Kilrain, I want to know who can be the vocal leader of a team in the locker room, Farzy. It has to be Hurts to take the reins. I agree. I think one of the things that did come out in the San Liquido article was Hurts deferring to A.J. Brown. I don't need Jalen Hurts to act like he's in some Disney movie about football. I don't need him to be a rah-rah guy. I don't need him to be high school Harry in a locker room. I got Nick Sirianni for that. But, I don't need him to be that guy. I just need him to, at time when you feel like you need to say something or you feel like the team really needs to hear from you, be ready to say something. I don't need him to be Paulie Pom-Poms. I just need him to be a good leader. And at times, vocally. I mean, look, like anybody, I really loved Chase Utley. Like we all love Chase Utley, right? Not a vocal guy. From everyone I've talked to with that team, whether it be Jimmy Rollins, whether it be Ryan Howard, Jimmy was the talker, of course, as we all know. But when Chase would say something, Ryan Howard said, he told me once, it was either the exact thing that needed to be heard at the right time, at the exact right time, or it was the funniest thing he ever heard. Like that was Chase Utley. And you look at Chase Utley, you don't go, oh, comedian. You know what I mean? But apparently he's very, very good at picking his spots. Rowland, what's going on? Don't buy it. Those guys need to be yelled at. Maybe they would actually have tried if Nick was in their face. Nick was in their face a couple of times. And when it comes to the idea of the rah-rah stuff, of guys needing to be yelled at, the thing that kind of is different here with the NFL, with NFL players, is these guys are men. A lot of men don't like being yelled at. Even if it's in the vein of motivation, then it better be clear that it's the vein of motivation and not the vein of, I am correcting you because you're wrong. It's not what I like. Not that I played in the NFL, but like I think we all played sports growing up. I liked it when the coach got intense. But that is grade school, high school stuff. That's not NFL stuff. The NFL level, those guys are professionals. It's a totally different animal. And I do like it when I see a head coach in the NFL or a coach in the NFL in general, coordinator in the NFL in general, getting into it with a player. Getting heated. And you know what? And the guy I always go to is Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells would talk about this often. The type of players you have, it really dictates how you have to act as a coach. True, as a coach, you have your own mentality, you have your guidelines, you have your rules, and those are to be abided by and respected. But when it comes to managing players, you have to understand who you're coaching. There are certain guys that absolutely need those moments of, getting in their face, yelling at them, GD it, let's go. And then you need the other guys like, hey, you got this, you got this, you got this. The more of the coddling type, if you will. Vince Lombardi, I forget the player. It wasn't like Bart Starr or anything like that, but I forget the player. It was a lineman that Vince Lombardi was riding. And the player said, man, I don't know how much more of this coach I could take. I got to get out of here, And it was like at that exact moment, Vince Lombardi grabbed that player by the face and just said, I love everything you do for this team. I love everything you do for this team. And then let him go. And the guy was like, that's exactly what I needed at that exact moment. That's what can be also very difficult about being a coach in the NFL. Knowing those moments to respond to the emotional part of it, not just the X's and O's part of it. It seems like Nick did not have a handle on either of those things. A.J. Brown has already said this BS. He could have said nothing. It wasn't some interview where he was asked. A.J. Brown already said this. Oh, it already said it was BS, yeah. All this Sirianni negativity, better not let Billy C hear you. Laugh out loud. I'm going to be on with Bill Colarulo today. 10:20. I'll be on with Bill. So I look forward to that. Common denominator of negativity on this Eagles team is Sirianni. Interesting. Sirianni's still a little leader in the clubhouse. Thank you, Ridiculous. Ridiculous. We just fired a bunch of coaches. Chances are those rumors came from them. Ooh. Interesting. April. Good morning, April. Mike Fujadamas. What's going on? Good morning, Mark. Good folks. Doug Peterson situation all over again. Yep. Except he stays here. Ridiculous. Dan Cilio is one hell of a poopster. Honestly, you all deserve it for constantly running with anything he says it's true. What did he say? This isn't an example of that. Dan Cilio saying he's not qualified to be a head coach is pretty true. I think most people feel like that right now. And that's not a report. That's his opinion. Eagles fan, they're leaving stuff out. One man is basically getting the blame for this entire collapse. If it's that bad, why is he still on that sideline? Well, because he plays ball. That's why, Eagles fan. Blah, 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 blah. Eagles fan. And it was Howie Roseman that told Schefter, don't believe that stuff. Sirianni getting scapegoated like MFers. There we go. Please fire head coach. What's going on? Pissed off fire head coach probably fed Decon this information. No chance Nick is still here if he was that out of control. In the job description for Philadelphia Eagles head coach, the number one, how are you going to play ball with Jeffrey Lowry? And then right under that at number 2, maybe even 1A, how are you going to play ball with Howie Roseman? I believe the structure of the Philadelphia Eagles right now, the corporate structure of the Philadelphia Eagles right now, is Howie Roseman has become the henchman for Jeffrey Lowry. That's how I believe this goes. It used to be, Howie Roseman. He's the the godfather, if you will. You know what I mean? And then he's got henchmen. He just supports the CEO, Jeffrey Lowry, the owner, Jeffrey Lowry. But now I think it's more of Jeffrey Lowry is the godfather. He's got everybody else working for him. Now that might sound obvious because he's an owner, but there has been such a power shift. It's like waves in the ocean, man. You see, since Andy Reid was here, like Andy Reid, he has the power struggle with Joe Banner. Andy Reid wins. Andy Reid gets more power. Joe Banner goes to the Browns. Howie Roseman gets more power. But Howie Roseman still has to be subservient to Andy Reid. Andy Reid's gone. They bring in Chip Kelly. Everything's status quo for 2 years. In the third year, Chip Kelly wants more power, wants Howie just to be a cap guy. Howie Roseman goes away, no power. Chip Kelly, all the power. Chip Kelly gone. Howie Roseman's back. Doug Peterson, a little bit of power, not a lot. Hire a defensive coordinator for him, essentially, without him having really any say in the matter. Interesting. They win a Super Bowl. Hey, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lowry, we're doing a great job. That coach is gone. The quarterback's gone. Nick Sirianni comes in, new quarterback, new head coach, back to another Super Bowl. Hey, we're doing a great job, says Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lowry. The number one characteristic on that resume, the number one thing they're looking for is whether or not a head coach will play ball with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lowry. That's why Nick Sirianni is still the head coach of this football team. After that historic collapse, that's why. Okay, ridiculous. Yes, this is a fine point. Sure. If the entire team hated Nick Sirianni, why would you fire everyone and bring him back? You can't change a large part of this roster, so it makes zero sense. That's why the head coach always gets blamed. It's not the head coach's fault. When has that ever mattered? Was it Joe Girardi's fault with the Phillies that they weren't hitting? No. But he got fired because you weren't changing an entire team. I want to know why he chose Rager over Justin Jefferson, who was in the palm of our hand. Still burned DK Metcalf as well. Yeah, but DK, what was DK? Third rounder? But I get what you're saying, Sean. Yeah. That's something that will haunt us for a long time. Oh, this is positivity. I like positivity, Eric. I believe Hurts will have 8 less turnovers coming up. All right. I'll take it. Eric Wisniewski, it's a woman that will destroy this team. Destroy men? Yeah. I think that's where a lot of people's minds went to. April, this offseason is like a Jerry Springer episode. And if you would like to, if she was sitting right in front of you, what would you like to tell her? That I just really love our farm animals. Okay, let's bring her out. Oh, then when Jerry, was there no more exhilarating feeling as a youth than listening to Jerry Springer say, all right, let's bring him out. And then you were just like, oh, it's going to go down. And then, 99 times out of 100, the person would just come in and attack the other person that the person was having an affair with or the animal, whatever the case may be. I believe Jalen won't even have 8 turnovers. Hey! I like it there. Tessie, 7-7. The line. Ridiculous. This is just funny. A lot of sore asses after the purge. I don't believe any of this. It's a team thing, not a one-man show. Okay. Jason A., what's going on? I don't remember a time when the Eagles ever had this much drama. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, the T.O. Donovan thing was probably the height of drama, but at least you knew what was what. Like, you knew it was T.O. and you knew it was Donovan. And those two guys were no longer getting along. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Only other time. Keep Nick and piss off your entire roster, or it's a lie. No chance. All right. I hope you're right, ridiculous. Players love Sirianni. I hope so. I will say guys went over the moon for him. Jason Kelsey at his locker on clean-out day. Jason Kelsey on his podcast. A.J. Brown went to bat for Nick Sirianni. I never heard a player in the 14 years of Andy Reid, when Andy Reid said, that's my responsibility, I got to do a better job. I never heard a player say, Coach got to stop saying that. It was our fault in this particular thing. But I didn't hear that. The way A.J. Brown illustrated it? No. There we go. Tessie. Jalen will be back better than ever. Keep hating. I'm not hating. I think you're speaking in general. I'm not hating. Are we sharing the same brain today? Let's bring them out. So you have a problem because she keeps on sleeping at her cousin's house. Yeah, and then I realized I found out recently that it's not her cousin. Oh, and the whole crowd goes nuts. I used to really love it at the end of the show, Jerry Springer, for the not just for the people on the podcast, but for maybe the non. I'm technically a millennial by about 3 months. Who's after us? Who's after the millennials? Is it Gen Z? Who's after us? Who are these young punks running around? Now, if you don't know the thrill, just go back. I'm sure you could YouTube it. Jerry Springer episodes. Oh, man. When they would go to the audience at the end. And they do that on a lot of shows. They go to the audience had questions, and the people would really try to drop the hammer and get these funny one-liners in. There was nothing more exhilarating to me than when the person tried to say something funny and it wasn't, and the whole crowd was like, oh, okay, you can. But most of the time, they were pretty good. Finally, the Sixers back in my life. Jason, now you and me both. Jalen has to be more of a leader. Concur. I'm sinking ship. Man, Tessie and ridiculous. You guys are going off. Eagles fan. Nobody was going at Nick Sirianni last year when Hurts bleeped up, and Sirianni was yelling at him coming off the field. Nobody said a word. This year he does it. It's a problem. They're lying, man. Sean Kilray. You're a Ryan Raider? Ryan Raiders beat Newman 48-43. Are you a Raider, Sean? I'm a Archbishop Wood Viking. Players didn't believe in Johnson. Hurts probably back. Ridiculous. Yeah, maybe. Tessie, players weren't committed enough. Some more particular Jalen was calling players out, maybe. Father Judge will beat Archbishop Ryan. Okay. All right. You guys. Father Judge. Good Lord. Leadership is very important. I agree. Did Judge beat Roman Fuji? Fuji predicted that Judge was going to get Whit Merrifield, by the way. Jeff Stoutland does things for the game plan that all of a sudden he couldn't do this season. I haven't heard of anything different with Jeff Stoutland's role. But yeah, he is run game coordinator, which is also known as something they can ignore. King Pooty TV, Chris Sims and Crash Out Carton, both with their typical BS this time of year. Certainly feels like it. Meant this goes overboard. Miss Dougie P, though. Oh, you missed Dougie P? Ridiculous. Z's after. Ridiculous. Jerry Springer was wild. Generation X here. Hell yeah, because Stone Cold says so. Wow. Wow. Oh, Jason A. Archbishop Blue was right by my mother's house. I grew up there. Oh, that's cool. I don't know if you heard about it, but Perkins is closed. And closed Perkins, man. I had an aunt live down the street from Archbishop Wood. Loved going there after practices and stuff. That was a typical scene, man. Walk in, immediately smell food. Oh, miss my Aunt Ange. Used to work at that Perkins. If you work there, between the years 1998 and 1997 and 2001, know that I was always the kid in the group after a school dance that tipped well, because I was raised right. Damn it. Carlos, dude, what's up? Farzy, what's up? Carlos, nice to see you. Oh, you went to H&H? You know some of the people I know, probably. No, I was old then, but yeah. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Appreciate you. Give everybody the chat. You guys are awesome as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Sixers back at it tonight. Look forward to that. Thanks, everybody. You guys are wonderful. I will be back with you guys tomorrow to break it all down even further. Oh, April went to H&H. Good Lord. Here we go. Perkins was a hot mess. You know what's funny? I was on with my friend Jason Lee on his sports podcast, and he asked me about the Perkins, because he knew I went to Archbishop Wood. And he's like, Farz, I got to ask you about the Perkins closing down. I was like, stop. I don't even want to hear it. I remember I carried, because it was a rainy night, my date, my friend Christine Spears, I carried her across the muddy grassy knoll so we could go to Perkins and we can get our fine meal at Perkins. Because they know why? Because I'm a classy fella. That's why. Anyway, plus she was wearing open-toe shoes. You don't want to walk through the mud like that. Come on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are awesome. As per usual, back with you guys tomorrow to break it all down even further. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you do that. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you guys. Oh, be on with Bill Calarulo at 10:20 today on the Philly Sports Power Hour. Have a great day, everybody. See you.